I take a totally different view of God and nature from that which the later Christians usually entertain. For I hold that God is the immanent and not the extraneous cause of all things. I say all is in God, all lives and moves in God. And this I maintain with the Apostle Paul, and perhaps with every one of the philosophers of antiquity, although in a way other than theirs. I might even venture to say that my view is the same as that entertained by the Hebrews of old, if so much may be inferred from certain traditions, greatly altered or falsified though they be. It is, however, a complete mistake on the part of those who say that my purpose is to show that God and nature, under which last term they understand a certain mass of corporeal matter, are one and the same. I had no such intention. Again, in the Treatise on Religion and the State, he writes, "By the help of God I mean the fixed and unchangeable order of nature, or the chain of natural events. The universal laws of nature and the eternal decrees of God are one and the same thing. From the infinite nature of God, all things follow by the same necessity and in the same way as it follows from the nature of a triangle, from eternity to eternity, that its 3 angles are equal to 2 right angles. What the laws of the circle are to all circles, God is to the world. Like substance, God is the causal chain or process, the underlying condition of all things, the law and structure of the world. This concrete universe of modes and things is to God as a bridge is to its design, its structure, and the laws of mathematics and mechanics according to which it is built. These are the sustaining basis, the underlying condition, the substance of the bridge. Without them it would fall. And like the bridge, the world itself is sustained by its structure and its laws. It is upheld in the hand of God. The will of God and the laws of nature being one and the same reality diversely phrased, it follows that all events are the mechanical operation of invariable laws and not the whim of an irresponsible autocrat seated in the stars. The mechanism which Descartes saw in matter and body alone, Spinoza sees in God and mind as well. It is a world of determinism, not of design. Because we act for conscious ends, we suppose that all processes have such ends in view. And because we are human, we suppose that all events lead up to man and are designed to subserve his needs. But this is an anthropocentric delusion, like so much of our thinking. The root of the greatest errors in philosophy lies in projecting our human purposes, criteria, and preferences into the objective universe. Hence our problem of evil. We strive to reconcile the ills of life with the goodness of God, forgetting the lesson taught to Job, that God is beyond our little good and evil. Good and bad are relative to human and often individual tastes and ends, and have no validity for a universe in which individuals are ephemera, and in which the moving finger writes even the history of the race in water. Whenever, then, anything in nature seems to us ridiculous, absurd, or evil, it is because we have but a partial knowledge of things, and are in the main ignorant of the order and coherence of nature as a whole, and because we want everything to be arranged according to the dictates of our own reason, although, in fact, what our reason pronounces bad is not bad as regards the order and laws of universal nature, but only as regards the laws of our own nature taken separately. As for the terms good and bad, they indicate nothing positive considered in themselves, for one and the same thing can at the same time be good, bad, and indifferent. For example, music is good to the melancholy, bad to mourners, and indifferent to the dead. Bad and good are prejudices which the eternal reality cannot recognize. It is right that the world should illustrate the full nature of the infinite and not merely the particular ideals of man. And as with good and bad, so with the ugly and the beautiful. These too are subjective and personal terms which, flung at the universe, will be returned to the sender unhonored. I would warn you that I do not attribute to nature either beauty or deformity, order or confusion. Only in relation to our imagination can things be called beautiful or ugly, well-ordered or confused. For example, if motion which the nerves receive by means of the eyes from objects before us is conducive of health, those objects are called beautiful. If it is not, those objects are called ugly. In such passages, Spinoza passes beyond Plato, who thought that his aesthetic judgments must be the laws of creation and the eternal decrees of God. Is God a person? Not in any human sense of this word. Spinoza notices the popular belief which still pictures God as of the male, not of the female sex. And he is gallant enough to reject a conception which mirrored the earthly subordination of woman to man. To a correspondent who objected to his impersonal conception of deity, Spinoza writes in terms reminiscent of the old Greek skeptic, Xenophanes. When you say that if I allow not in God the operations of seeing, hearing, observing, willing, and the like, you know not what sort of God mine is, I thence conjecture that you believe there is no greater perfection than such as can be explained by the attributes aforesaid. I do not wonder at it, for I believe that a triangle, if it could speak, would in like manner say that God is eminently triangular, and a circle that the divine nature is eminently circular, and thus would every one ascribe his own attributes to God. Finally, neither intellect nor will pertains to the nature of God, in the usual sense in which these human qualities are attributed to the deity, but rather the will of God is the sum of all causes and all laws, and the intellect of God is the sum of all mind. The mind of God, as Spinoza conceives it, is all the mentality that is scattered over space and time, the diffused consciousness that animates the world. All things, in however diverse degree, are animated. Life, or mind, is one phase or aspect of everything that we know, as material extension or body is another. These are the two phases or attributes, as Spinoza calls them, through which we perceive the operation of substance or God. In this sense, God, the universal process and eternal reality behind the flux of things, may be said to have both a mind and a body. Neither mind nor matter is God, but the mental processes and the molecular processes which constitute the double history of the world, these, and their causes and their laws, are God.